Hi, I'm Rick Taylor. Thanks for joining me. The election of Zoran Mamdani as mayor of New York City has put a big spotlight on socialism. An NBC poll found an increase in those who view socialism positively. But when we talk about socialism, we're usually not talking about the same thing. I've written about this previously, but doing a deeper dive on the topic recently showed me I didn't fully understand what I was talking about either. Beyond its dictionary definition, the word socialism actually describes four very different systems. The first is state socialism. Now, this is what most fits the basic definition, the one that I've always gone by. This is where the government owns all units of production: factories, farms, stores, property, restaurants, etc. A select number of ruling bureaucrats make every major decision. Individuals can't start their own businesses. There's no competition. The government decides what is made, how much is produced, and how much it costs. Everything runs by a central plan. Individuals have almost no economic freedom. Now, this is what the old Soviet Union practiced. It still exists in North Korea and to some degree in Cuba. The second type of socialism is state capitalism. In this model, private companies exist. People can still make fortunes. Yet the government, often led by an authoritarian leader, ultimately calls all the shots. This is the system practiced by China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia. It looks like capitalism from a distance. It has markets, private property, and billionaires. But the political leaders choose which industries or companies succeed. The government often owns partial stakes in businesses, and executives of those companies have to stay in line with political goals, because those who challenge government authority risk losing everything: their wealth, their freedom, even their lives. The third type of socialism is democratic socialism. This model emphasizes democratic control of businesses. Workers own the company collectively. They elect a board of directors and share profits. These cooperatives compete with one another in markets just like private businesses do. The difference is that power is spread out amongst the workers themselves rather than concentrated in the hands of distant shareholders or government. Now, this tradition has deep roots going back over a century and got renewed attention in the 1950s as an alternative to Soviet-style dictatorship. British socialist Richard Crossman, cited in a 1954 article by Louis Kosar and Irving Howe, described the main task of democratic socialism as to prevent the concentration of power in the hands of either industrial management or state bureaucracy. While no country has fully adopted this system nationwide, smaller successful examples exist everywhere. These include member-owned credit unions and electric cooperatives, companies that are fully employee-owned, and corporations with significant employee stock ownership plans, ESOPs. This is the tradition apparently embraced by Mamdani, who calls himself a democratic socialist. The fourth type of socialism, a social democracy. Despite the similar name, this is not the same as democratic socialism. It is what we see in places like Sweden, Denmark, Holland, Germany. These countries embrace democracy and capitalism, as well as having robust social safety nets funded by high taxes. Private businesses still exist. The government doesn't run the economy. People can still get rich, but the inequality gaps are smaller. Citizens will typically receive universal health care, affordable college education, strong labor unions, generous unemployment benefits, and paid vacation. These are funded through progressive taxation and business regulations that fall most heavily on corporations and the wealthy. Ironically, Americans, including me in the past, often mistakenly called this socialism. The residents of these countries simply call it capitalism with a strong social contract. I've long held that we often talk about socialism without knowing what it is. It's even more complex than I knew. Understanding some of that complexity can help us have meaningful discussions rather than just talking past each other. Thanks for joining me.